In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn the operating well in your O-gauge model railroad layout into a canyon. And we're starting right now. Hi, my name is Owen, and I'm continuing to build and expand a traditional O-gauge Polar Express layout. This layout has two levels with 3 tracks, plus a Polar Express trolley running on it. And one of the things I've been wanting to do for a long time is convert the operating well into the appearance of a canyon. Several benefits of doing this. One, it hides all that stuff under the table where I have some tools stored and I have other equipment stored, and it also hides any wiring that happens to be visible from under the table. So that's a great thing. But in addition to that, it gives me several square feet, actually quite a few more square feet of area to landscape to create the winter scene that I'm going for in my layout. Polar Express, winter scene, makes sense, right? So I'm going to get started on that right away. First, I want to show you the material I'm using. This is XPS Foam. It's called XPS because that stands for Expanded Polystyrene, which is the plastic material it's made out of. It's extremely lightweight, easy to handle, and it's relatively inexpensive. I bought my material at Home Depot, and it was only about $16 or $17 a sheet. A sheet is 4 foot by 8 feet. By 1 inch in this case. You can also get this in 1/2 inch thicknesses, but for my purposes, 1 inch works much better. The polystyrene, expanded polystyrene foam, XPS foam, comes in this pink color. It comes in other colors from some other manufacturers, but whatever. The point is, it's not going to be a color found in nature. So you need to do some work to change that. And I'll be covering that as well. I'm going to paint this, first of all, using a white primer. White will go well with the winter theme that I'm working on, and it'll also be a background to add some rocks and some other cliffs and things to the canyon walls that will make it look more realistic when I get done. So let's jump in and get started. As you can see in this scene, I've already started to cut the XPS foam boards in order to fit in the space where I want them to go. A couple of points I want to add right now. Getting this home from your building supply store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, wherever you happen to buy things, can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you don't have a large vehicle. One of the ways that I've found works best for me is to actually have some of the measurements with me and do some cutting in the parking lot after I get out of the store as I'm loading it into the vehicle. The boards are marked off or scored off so that you can actually snap them into 4 pieces lengthwise. Well, that's not always the best thing for what you need to do. And I found that taking a box cutter along with me is essential. I take a box cutter, I take a tape measure, and I take a T-square as well. And that allows me to get lines perfectly straight or as straight as I need to, and then be able to cut the material so that it's already roughly getting into the shape that I'm going to ultimately need it before I ever load it into the vehicle. Cutting XPS foam is pretty easy. I use a box cutter that I keep well sharpened or with fresh blades as needed, and that works quite well. I use the T-square to mark the line that I want to cut on and simply draw the box cutter down along the T-square, and that gives me a straight line where I need a straight line. You don't always need a straight line. In some cases, I'm going to use odd-shaped lines on this as I finish up to make it look more natural once it's painted, once I've added rocks to it. One of my challenges will be to ensure that I still have access to the operating well when I need it. I'm not going to need to go in there very often, but occasionally I'll need to go in there in order to repair something or add something new to the layout, do some construction, and do some repairs. And that means that I need to have a way to get in and out. I'm leaving these sheets attached only loosely on the inside. They will slide down in place, fitting together, and there'll be one sheet that I'm pointing the camera at right now that will simply be resting against the side, and I'll be able to raise it up and down in order to get underneath it to get into the operating well. I've got just a few more sheets of XPS foam to cut to the right size, and then I can start painting. So I'm going to get at that right now, and I'll be back shortly. Here you can see another area in my layout where I'm going to have to allow for access in order to be able to connect and disconnect just plug lighting system items from the board. Also, I'm continuing to work on creating a canyon in the operating well of my O-gauge Polar Express layout. And you can see the progress I've made so far in the sheets of XPS foam that have now been primed white. There's a lot more to do. This is taking much longer than I anticipated, and I just thought I'd go ahead and finish this up and give you a taste of where I am right now and some of the things I still have to do. The XPS foam is 1 inch thick, and it comes in this delightful shade of pink. It has to be changed in color, and that's what I'm working on right now. It takes a minimum of 2 coats, and sometimes it's going to take probably more than that in order to cover that white up and turn it into, or that pink up and turn it into something that will look appropriate for a Polar Express layout. In this view, you can see that there's a panel of just plug lighting system equipment plus the controller for my Polar Express trolley on the far end of the operating well. I need to be able to cover that so it looks like part of the canyon, but I still need to have access to it from time to time. So what I'm doing is creating another piece that is a standoff. This is the piece that's going to go on that far end in front of the just plug lighting system connectors. The vertical piece is tapered from top to bottom so that it will fit down with the angle of the side pieces. On top of it is the standoff. So this is a right angle to the other part, and it's going to be held in place by a combination of foam tack glue from Woodland Scenics and the plaster cloth from Woodland Scenics. I've just started to assemble that. I've got a lot more to do, plus I need to add another coat of paint to the whole piece. I've also replaced the structure that I had here to catch the lift bridge when it was raised, and I've used an I-beam as well as some basswood sheets from Hobby Lobby to put that together. Those will get painted, and once they're painted, I think that's going to look much cooler than the posts, the columns that I had there before. That I-beam across the top, I think, is really going to look good once it's painted. Now, the whole reason for having a model railroad layout is to run trains. So let me get the train started up and we'll see how they look. I'll come back and show you the finished product as soon as I get to that point. In the meantime, please like the video, click the thumbs up down below, like the video. Please share it with anyone else you know that might be interested in this subject, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I would really appreciate all of those things. And I also want to say thank you very much for your time and watching today. I appreciate your time.